Hi, I'm John Mayfield, the Real Estate Tech Guy, with another Global Real Estate School podcast. Hi, it's John Mayfield, the Real Estate Tech Guy, and thank you for listening to another Global Real Estate School podcast. Well, today I want to talk to you about a very quick term definition, and I also want to give you some advice if you are thinking about getting your real estate license or if you are currently enrolled in a real estate school. So let's talk about the definition first, and then let me give you some very, very good advice on the real estate examination. Number one, you could see a question regarding the word abatement. What is an abatement? And we're really referring to tax abatement. And if you see some type of terminology regarding a tax abatement or what is a tax abatement, it is when the government actually provides a reduction in tax in order to entice or perhaps recruit a business or an industry to their community. So if you see a question and it talks about providing a tax cut or a decrease in taxes or a tax break, they're probably talking about an abatement, A-B-A-T-E-M-E-N-T, abatement. And again, that is just an incentive or a tax reduction for real estate taxes in order to get a business to come to the area. So you might have a community that would provide an abatement on taxes, real estate taxes, if a company were to build a plant or relocate their business. And the reason they provide that abatement is because it's going to bring a lot of jobs to the local area. So again, just remember, abatement also is associated with a tax break or a tax reduction, and it's normally regarding real estate taxes. Okay, and I promised I would give you some great advice for passing the real estate exam. You know, I've been thinking about this for a while, but I've been working on a new tool, a new program that I hope to be launching this month. And I think it's a pretty cool tool, and I'll kind of wait before I announce some of the other information regarding it. However, I've had a few students recently who I think they are more concerned about finishing the material and trying to go in and just take the test and thinking that somehow they're going to be able to pass the examination without a lot of effort. And you hear me go over and over and over again. And the answer is it's just not going to happen. My course provides end of chapter review quizzes, and you need to make a 75% in order to move on to the next module. And a good example is I have an at the end of the national modules, you take just a practice national exam. And I had one of my students the other day. She couldn't move forward. She was a little frustrated, and she said, "Hey, I've taken that test twice, and it's not letting me move on to the state material." Well, when I looked in the dashboard and looked at the state examination she took, she didn't pass that state examination. In fact, she made like a 60%. Second go-round, she was still well below 75% required passing grade. She was frustrated. She wanted to move forward, and I get it. You want to get the modules over with. However, you're not doing yourself any good if you just go through the material and you don't understand the concepts. In other words, if you're not passing the end of course exams, it's not doing you a lot of good to continue to move forward. And so I want to just remind you, don't try to rush through the material just so you can finish it. This examination is designed to weed out the students who have not studied well. Now, I don't want you to be afraid or I don't want to scare you away from taking the school, because anybody can pass this test. Anyone. You can pass this exam. However, you've got to put the time in and study. If you don't put the time in to study, then yes, unfortunately, you probably won't go in and pass the examination. So, again, here's my advice for you. If you don't pass an end-of-course exam, just take that module over. It's no big deal. It's not going to hurt you to go through it a second or third time. My roommate in college, he was one of those guys that literally he could just study the night before an examination and make an A. I had to go over the material 3 and 4 times to really get it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It helped me. I'm taking a course right now for it's called a DREI. It's a Distinguished Real Estate Instructor designation. And it's a very prestigious award that they provide people. But you have to go through a course and you have to present a video and several other steps. I'm reading the book, which is very fascinating, and I read through my assignment the first time. But you know what? I'm going back through and reading it again because I want to pick up some additional concepts and things that I didn't really fully understand the first time. And just came from upstairs where I spent some time reading on my material a second time, and I just picked up so much information that I didn't pick up the first time. And I will tell you what, I'll go back over it a third and maybe a fourth time before we meet again online. So I just want to remind you, don't try to just force yourself through the modules. Yes, we want to get through those, but we want to make sure before you go on to the next module that you understand the principles and concepts. If you follow that strategy, you're going to do great and you are going to pass the examination. But if you're just trying to, I just want to get through this and then I'll go back and review over everything once I finish all the modules, it's just not going to work good for you that way. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if I were you, I would not move forward until you clearly have a grasp of those chapters. And take your time. Yes, don't put it off too long. You want to stay in the material, but don't feel like you just want to finish the chapters and then go back and try to review. It's better to get a grasp and understand it before you move forward. Okay, 2 key things you've learned today on today's podcast. Abatement. It's a tax break or a tax reduction. Government will normally provide a business in order for them to relocate, bring some jobs into the community. And there could be other reasons for an abatement, but tax abatement is a reduction or sometimes even a waiver of the full real estate taxes that would be owed. So if you see that on the exam, be sure and understand how to apply it. And secondly, make sure you have the concepts down before you move forward. It will help you pass the real estate exam on the first attempt. Well, as always, be sure and go over to globalrealestateschool.com. Check out our website. Like this YouTube channel, subscribe. We'd love some positive feedback. And also, don't forget, we have a podcast. You can go to Google. That's the easiest way to find us. Go to Google, type in Global Real Estate School Podcast. As always, thanks for listening. Have a great day. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and send those to me. I'm always glad to help you out. Thank you for listening to the podcast for Global Real Estate School. I'm John Mayfield, the Real Estate Tech Guy. Go out and make it a great day.